Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brad and SuperCoach Pro. Today we're doing the round 20 AFL SuperCoach review, and we scored 2,398 there, moved up a whole 31 spots, which is nothing because last week we went down 27. So we pretty much held our rank the last fortnight, and it's probably an establishment of where we are for the season. Our team is really a mid-2000s sort of side by the looks of it, and whether that's by luck or not having some antipods. And it really comes down to antipods. Bontempelli in the last month's been playing well. There's a few others like Petrarca that I can think of, Gorn. Players like that are really killing me, and that is my downfall. It's not necessarily my actual side. It's more who I don't have. Himmelberg and players like that have really killed me, not so much this week, but there is the points that I'm weaking that we're talking about, and that's the back line. So the video, I'm not really going to go into how they played so much. It's probably more or less if I started next season and whatnot. I mean, 93 is pretty reasonable for assists, so it comes down to a decent price. You probably start him, Stewart, Sinclair off the top of my head. The rest is sort of thereabouts. Dawson, another year in the system over Adelaide next year. He'd be interesting, just depending where the coach wants him. I don't really want a player who's going to play half forward, then play wing, then play half back flank, sort of like Short. So, yeah, very inconsistent, these two, although Dawson's actually scoring better than what Short and Crisp are. Doherty, 91, you kind of expect that this time of year for him to slow down. His body's had a vigorous run the last few years, so I'm not disappointed in Doc. May, he scored 109 last week, so 69 this week. Averages it out to be about 80, so it's not too bad. And Jack Crisp looks like he's failed. So if we have a look at Short, just delve into where he started going bad, and it's probably after round 14 onwards, he's only hit the ton once. So yeah, really disappointing from here. He's got what's he got? Three round average of 83 and a 5 of 85. So this is where we probably hold on to our trades next year, is actually role change players, or players who just fallen off a cliff. So we'll go to Jack Crisp, same thing. His ceiling isn't amazing. It's not like that 160, 170 territory. He's also got a 3-round average of 77 and a 5 of 77. Anyway, I just realised what I said. So, yeah, they're just both horrendous. So, going off that, I'd actually trade Crisp over Short. They're highly owned players. Like 39% of competition has Crisp. And then back to Jaden Short, 42 has him. So, if you've got, the 60% of coaches don't own those two, and you've got someone like a Sinclair or Stewart, you're really going to get some edge over the competition in the last 3 weeks. And May is an antipod when he scores like this. But, it is what it is this time of year. People fielding rookies too, so they're actually copying bad scores now, which is nice for people that have trades left up their sleeve. I've only got one, but that's kind of beside the point. I've held him for long enough anyway. So, yeah, pretty average backline, and that's why I didn't move up too far this week, is what I'm running with. It's just nice I've actually got bench cover, though. So, Laird was my VC. If I undo my changes, I've obviously mucked around with it before doing this video. Laird was actually my C, and Sean Darcy was my VC last minute. I said in the preview I was going to go Mills, and then I was listening to the pre-game show, and I was saying how Gorn will play more forward, Jackson will play some more ruck hit out. So I thought maybe Darcy's going to have a big one and go 140 again like he did last time. Hence why I didn't really have too many good options, because you can see here against Melbourne he scored 141 when he actually played Jackson and Gorn. So Laird's really been my saviour this year since bringing him in. He's just so consistent being captain and VC. Like, he just doesn't drop a bad score. And he's probably a player I start next year. So out of that back line, I'm only starting probably Sis and Dawson at this stage. And Laird's 100% a lock in my side. Look at Miller as well. He would have been a fantastic option. He had a little bad patch around here. He was sort of 76, 105, 107, 99. He had a 59 in there. He can get tagged, Miller, but he seems to be up there in terms of primo, so I'll definitely start him again. Oliver I'll start because he's obviously, that broken thumb's hindering him, so he's not a VC or C option from here on out. And probably one you could actually trade sideways if you really had, 3 or 4 trades or F sitting there and you just wanted to go for broke, someone like Andy Brayshaw or someone that you think's got a good run home, maybe an Adelaide player. Neil 110, I actually thought he would have went bigger against the Tigers today. They won a lot of clearances. He did pretty well. And yeah, only went 110. So when I was watching the game, I actually thought he was going to go 130, 140. But yeah, all the points went to all the midfielders really from both sides. And Mills 120, sort of glad I wasn't thrown up in that position to, risk a Laird, because I probably would have kept the Mills pick if I had a VC'd him. So yeah, lucky one there. McRae 82. I don't know what's going on with McRae. It seems like every week one of the Bulldogs players plays bad. Bont only went 98, so that sort of helped me. And then Merritt's the other anti-pod that's killing me too, actually. He's had a real heater and actually scoring a lot higher than what he normally does. Cripps looks like he's got his roll back with Pitney back in that side. And also not having George Hewitt really helps his scoring. So hopefully Georgie doesn't come back this season, just for the home and away season, for SuperCoach purposes, not in any dark way, that's for sure. And yeah, look, his last two, he's averaged pretty decent. So you'd probably be spewing if you cut him off after round 18, but fair enough. I got rid of Tom Green, and it was out of him and Cripps, but Tom Green actually got omitted, so it sort of sorted itself out. The loophole system worked to my advantage this week a little bit, and then it sort of didn't at the same time. So I was a little bit concerned about Brody. I was thinking about it after the preview video was uploaded, and I was like, what happens if Brody is still a little bit injured because he missed training or something like that? So I loopholed his score, and yeah, banked in the 92 any day of the week. Owens was a late in, so he probably keeps his spot. A late in for Tom Campbell, which then goes to my other point. I probably would have brought Rowan Marshall in had I thought that Campbell would have been pulled out last minute. I think I still could have made that move because the Dogs game wasn't till later, but I was out and I didn't really want to have 100k sitting there. I just wanted to use all the money, and English, I didn't want it to be an antipod, and that kind of backfired because Marshall went 174, could have banked an extra 100 points. So yeah, that's a bit of a mistake there. Probably should have just risked it for the biscuit in hindsight, but what do you do? The flexibility of English really helped my thoughts on how to do this over the next 3 weeks too, to try and game some rank in that top 1k would be nice. Darcy 92, yeah, pretty average, let's be honest. And English, also pretty average. I didn't expect him to drop a poor score, or else I wouldn't have obviously brought him in. It was him or gone. I sort of a little bit worried about bringing English after the concussion issue and the hammy he did early on in the season. But look, his last 3 seem reasonable. I know he plays at Marvel for the last 2 out of 3, and then he plays Hawks for my grand final SuperCoach if I'm in any grand finals in SuperCoach. So kind of, yeah, I was hoping he'd do something nice, and he did not. So, it is what it is. It's cool. Hopefully he stays as a loop. I hope he doesn't get named now, because that's going to be frustrating. And then the forward line was actually really solid. So the forward line midfield's been okay. I think my forward line's actually been better overall averaging than any other line consistently, I'd say. So we went 119 to Parker, 93 to Tomahawk. He could have had a massive day if he actually kicked straight. 104 to Heaney. So this is the other thing, like Heaney's inconsistencies. I held him the last month and he's gone 112, 104, 106, 104. So, his 3 and 5 round average is 104, 98. So the only player better than that is probably Bont. Taranto had an off week. All Giants players played hopeless. They lost by a fair amount, so I wasn't expecting him to go too well in a flogging. He's got Dogs, Essendon, Freo, the last 3. So hopefully he proves a point to the new coach or to Richmond who want to recruit him. That'd be nice. No, but in all seriousness, I'm still happy with the pick. There's not much in the forward line I could have gone. Himmelberg's had a role change, and hopefully he plays forward for the rest of the season because maybe then I can get some points back up on the competition. 120 for Butters. I also held. I kind of like this hold too. Like, it hasn't been amazing. It's set the world on fire, but since holding, he's got 96, 74, and then back-to-back tons of 106 and a 120. So, pretty happy with holding him for a month. Dunkley bounced back, 130, did not see that coming. And Cameron was my emergency, who I couldn't loop any scoring for. Like, the game had already started, and he was on like 20 points in the first quarter. So I didn't want to take off Tommy Hawkins or anyone like that. Because I just didn't really have a good enough sample size. If Cameron had have got 50 in the first quarter, I definitely would have swapped someone out real quick and used the Hamilton loophole. But I did not. So tactically, the team looks great. DPP, most of my players are playing. Canelio got rested. I didn't see that coming, so hopefully that surprised a few in the competition, but it kind of really didn't matter for my rank because a lot of that top 2K has such a big gap ahead that it's really hard to close distance now unless you've got some really unique trades, and you're going to have to bring in pods to really do something special, hence why I really should have gone Marshall instead of going English, because English would just hold my rank, whereas Marshall will either go one way or the other, and I probably should have chose Marshall, but I just didn't trust his role with Tom Campbell coming into the side. Campbell's more of a ruckman, so it would have made Marshall play forward more. So it'll be interesting to see if Campbell does play this week. Hopefully he does for a non-owner. And this week what we're looking at is probably a little bit different. Loophole setup can go something like this. I can probably swing Darcy Cameron here, have a free punt on it. As you can see, the fixture, albeit Tickle, I'll have to watch the Sandful on my on app I got to see if he's been named in the Sandful side. And if he has, and Cameron goes off on that Friday night, I can loophole his score on the forward line. And then for that same purpose, if I probably do something like this, I don't know how I'm going to go about it, to be honest. I haven't quite worked it out, but maybe Taranto is my weakest link right now. I could even emergency Taranto, have a free ping at it, and work something out there. I could actually do that. So maybe Taranto and Heaney seem to have bad games, but Heaney's had a solid month. Butters can score pretty average. So it could be something like this where you run Taranto. If he plays well, you take it. If he doesn't, you put Butters on. Same thing with Cameron. If Cameron plays well, Teakle goes forward. And then you sort of get a free hit in some of your lines. Or I could do it with the forward line too, depending on Hawkins or somebody like that. But I think he'll play all right against St Kilda. So we'll muck around a bit closer to the game, depending on team matchups. Surprising outs. Is there another cogs in the works that we're not aware of that someone's going to get rested? And that's the other reason why I want to hold my trade until maybe the last round or two, just in case one of these primos like Oliver gets rested round 23. Like, that would really suck. So I'm going to keep that one up my sleeve. I think we're doing all right. I'm pretty happy with the consistency of my team this year. I mean, it's been around 1,700 to 1,200 for half the year, and now the last quarter I've been sitting in that 2K mark, which is fine. It's still overall top 1%. There's not much more I can do from here. It's just really relying on antipods to go down. So that is the video. The other thing I'll just say quickly too, you're now going for VCs. It's got really high ceilings, hence why I went Shrek. So this week, if I went VC and C in my side specifically, obviously, I want ceiling, so I'd probably actually go Took into Laird. They're both in form players, so you'd probably go for players with high ceiling in form rather than players that are hot one week and cold other weeks, sort of like Mills. And Shrek for that point too. But But the side is kind of sad in that sense too. Like, there's not really reliable options there for captaincy consistent. There's probably only these two guys here, and I've actually finally got the loophole week to do it. Anyway, a bit of a slightly different video, and just to top it off, I will be starting, like I said, Laird, Miller. Oliver, Neil, I'll think about it as price point really for me. Mills, I'm not going to start again. McRae, I probably won't start again. I'd actually start Bont over McRae. Cripps, I'm not going to start again. Butters is a 50-50. Taranto's a no, unless he comes to the Tigers. Darcy is probably a yes. English, I'd say he is, because you'd think the I always forget his name. Stephen Martin won't play next year, so I think I would start English in the ruck. Cameron, I definitely won't. Cogs, if he's a forward, I'll start him. It goes for all these players. If all these players are forward bar Hawkins, I'd actually pick them all next year. It just really depends on what money we have and who the cheap rookies are. And I'll be looking at some rookies that have played a lot of games that have been subbed that actually make best 22 next year. So, I've got a few ideas coming up in the off season too, and we'll work something out. And hopefully I can expand my channel a little bit, team up and do whatever else anyway. So hopefully you guys had a good weekend. Hopefully your team got a win in the footy and your SuperCoach. Let me know if you won your first final this week. And if you got any trades, put them in the comments below. Even BCC options, I'll go through them and sort you out. Have a good one. Catch.